gay marriage came and it went, and now it's normalized in the population where two people, two men, two women, can get together and actually form a loving relationship. But let's take it a step further. Today's guest is going to be talking to us about gay fathers, daddies, parents, and we're going to learn about how that dynamic has altered and changed the face of the LGBTQI community. Hi, this is Joey Butterfield, and welcome to the Secret Men's Business Podcast. On today's show, we're going to be speaking to Shaun Williams. He's going to be talking to us about the group Gay Fathers, and he's going to explain to us how that was conceived and his experience as being a daddy. Hello, Daddy. Shaun, how are you?
I'm good, Joey. How are you?
I'm so sorry. Even though you told me not to say the word daddy, I couldn't help it.
That's quite fine.
Welcome to the Secret Men's Business Podcast. Thank you for coming on the show. And I love the diversity of the podcast interviews now. We guess it's really, really cool. So before we start, can you just introduce yourself to our audience? Maybe tell them a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Shaun. I'm 52. I was married in a heterosexual relationship for 24 years. I have 4 daughters. And in December 2019, after years of holding back my sexuality, I came out as gay. Mm-hmm. I'm now living in a very happy gay relationship with my partner, Dean. We moved in with each other at Christmas, just the Christmas gone. And we're both fathers. So Dean's also got a daughter as well. So we're like the gay Brady bunch almost.
Yeah.
So
see, this is where I at my age, I'm a bit older than you, and I feel this jealousy of that, not having that part of it. So, when we talk about gay fathers, are all the fathers traditionally, were they married in a heterosexual relationship, or do you see that there's different variances in regards to how you want to call that out?
So most of the I'd say 99% of the fathers are fathers that have come from a heterosexual relationship. And so it's interesting that you mentioned when I first came out, I was one of the obstacles I came across was some of the broader gay community were jealous and were quite hurtful in some of the things they said.
Yeah.
And it was really surprising. I thought, hang on a moment, I've spent all this time coming out and I'm out and I'm proud. And I'm all of a sudden being shot down and told that I'm a liar, I'm selfish, I've got kids. It was really an interesting, and it's funny because a lot of the gay fathers in the group have had similar experiences, and it saddened me.
I guess it's because what I think the world has shifted very fast, and so things that were hidden. So gay fathers once upon a time were, they existed, but they just weren't as out because of social media. And now a lot of people, I guess, don't want things to change, which is annoying because it's going to change even a lot more with transgender and all that sort of stuff. So, so what do you think the common theme is with these men? Like, is it that they were closeted, or is it more the fact that they don't know where to turn to with their newfound lifestyle and with their children? Like, what is the common theme that brings them together, or is there a different one for everyone?
I think it's a bit of both, Joey. I think society, and it seems to be a group of around 40 to 50-year-olds. So we're growing up in the 80s, and we're society said, and religion said you need to be married, and we've got a lot of men that have been through conversion therapy. And it breaks my heart to hear the stories of what they've been through. And society and their families put them through conversion therapy and said, you're getting married to a woman. And they ticked all the boxes. So it's a really interesting demographic. It's the 40 to 50-year-olds that are
Well, it's so interesting listening to you talk because, wow, I just realized that I was engaged at 19 and I dodged it. I dodged it.
Wow.
Right. So I remember very clearly I was on the path, probably having the children, but I remember breaking up, getting on a plane the next day and going to Queensland.
Wow.
And
that's
staying
amazing.
there. Yeah, well, I just, because it is a sliding door moment, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, and I remember on my wedding day thinking, okay, I'm following the path that I should be following. I knew that I had an interest in men, but I thought, I'm going down the path that I should be going down. And I understand when some of the gay communities say that I was selfish or I was a liar. I know,
No, why are you
I know
saying that?
I've heard, well, yeah, well,
Well,
I know that.
remember the Secret Men's Business Foundation. There's no such thing as a bad situation.
No, no, no.
So
Well, I
yeah,
guess there was so much to learn, and I guess since I've come out, I've learned to accept that that it wasn't. I came out very quickly, very quickly, in that I told my psychologist one day, told my wife the next day, and told my kids the next day after that. So it was sort of like I sort of hit the ground running and went, okay, I'm basically. There was an analogy from one of the gay dads that said, before coming out, it's like trying to hold a beach ball under the water.
mm,
It's like, and I just let that beach ball go,
yeah,
and it all hell broke loose. And it was really difficult. And I
yeah.
didn't know where to turn. I didn't even think of Facebook. I don't know why. I automatically went to the apps
Yeah, well, I mean, like, because
because that's
Facebook
what
Facebook is a sort of a hidden thing that there's stuff going on.
yeah. And I didn't think of any groups on Facebook. And then I met a couple of dads online, and we formed a walking group. And it was in the middle of COVID. We were all within our bubble, and we could walk and talk. And there was three of us, and we're all dads. And between us, we had 10 kids.
Wow.
And we asked the question, where do you go to talk to other dads? And is there we knew our story wasn't unique. We knew we weren't writing a new book it's been happening. But where do you go? And I thought, look, I'll just start a private group on Facebook. And I had, these couple of friends, and I'd met another couple of older dads online and had been talking to them on Facebook. So they joined, but then I wasn't ready for the amount of people that started joining. It was incredible. And just hearing their stories, and just hearing their stories, it helped me so much. And I could see I was helping them.
Yeah.
And as one person helping another, and then you have 10 people helping one person, and
Yeah.
it becomes addictive.
Yeah. Well,
I love it.
that's the joy of it. It's because we're now finding a way to communicate and to connect with each other. And
Yes.
what I love, and the reason why I think I connect with you and I wanted you on the show, is because you're authentic, right? I think,
Yes.
I don't know, I don't want to say this in a negative way, but I think that there are certain people or groups that aren't maybe don't have the same agenda as say you have.
Yeah.
So it's the authenticity where it's really about the fatherhood, not about the sexuality.
Yeah, and then we make that really obviously. Dean and I are administrators of the group, and it's almost becoming a full-time job. And we make sure that you know we have let a couple of people in, and the name of the group used to be Gay Dads,
Yeah.
and so people used to
Daddy.
think it was a hot daddy site.
Well,
And we
I
do
think
have a
I
lot
did.
of we do have a lot of fine men in our site, but it was more about talking about any issues you had. And if these dads want to talk to each other privately,
Yeah. But
that's great.
it's all about balance, really. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that you're boring. It just means that it
No.
doesn't become that one thing. One thing that I
Yeah.
wanted to ask that actually wasn't on my list was like, what do you feel is the difference between you and Dean and say a younger couple that adopt or surrogate? Or is it the same for you?
I
Like in
think it's
regards to inclusion?
I think it's the same. Our children, like for a younger, so you're saying for a younger gay couple?
Well, you came from a marriage, right? And so your
Yeah.
children came from your marriage. Well, if it would say a younger couple that say in their 30s and they, a good friend of mine in Sydney just, had a surrogate baby. So
Yes.
here's a dad. So I'm just wondering, is there a difference because of your experience or is everything the same?
I think it's very similar. I don't. I
Well,
think
you and Dean didn't experience the infancy stage together.
yes, we did.
You did. I had a baby as well.
Oh no, sorry, no,
Oh,
we haven't had a baby. Sorry.
Yeah, so your kids
Dean will
grew
pass
up, and
out
then
if he sees this.
then you came out, got together, and your kids have grown up. Well,
Yes, our kids are grown up. Sorry,
the younger guys have got a baby, so
right.
it's still the same thing. They're still children.
Yeah, look, I still think you still have that love, and I think, yeah, I think your children, whether you have them from a birth from a woman or you have them as a surrogate, you're still going through those same steps, and you'll be going through the teenage years. God help them when they go through the teenage years.
Mm.
I've got 2 teenagers, and Dean's daughter's a little bit older, but we've got 5 girls in the house, and whether they're from a surrogate or from a previous relationship, I think they're all very similar, to be honest. I hadn't thought of that, but I can't see the differences, to be honest.
Well, I think the difference are just more logical differences. Like looking at my friend and I used to party with him, and then now seeing him holding his baby and being his dad, it's like it's a major difference. But he's so happy, and the thing that I love is that the baby looks like him.
Wow,
you know what I mean?
That's fantastic.
So it was all done through a surrogate and all that. And I guess it didn't cost you $27,000. You just had it with you know.
No.
So so I think we're going to see more of this. Like, what was your? Do you mind talking about like what was your courage, or what was the moment for you that you realized that you wanted to live your true life? Like, do you think that's becoming more apparent now with say men maybe your age group?
Yeah, look, I think for me, I'd been my mental health was suffering, and I was working on my physical health, and I'd spent a lot of time at the gym, and I had all the physical attributes of a healthy man, but my mental health and my mind was suffering.
Yeah. Was there like a time that you knew, and I guess you chose when you were getting married. So was that something constantly there in your life, or did
Yes.
you?
Yeah. It was really hard. It was difficult, and I tried to act. I taught myself how to walk like a man, and I went into construction. I'm a project manager in construction. So I was I am still in a job, which is a job for blokes, and I people would ask me, you've got a great family, and I was living, I'm still, well, I'm not living that life anymore, but I'm still have the children, and my oldest daughter came out as gay when she was 16, and I thought, here I am also supporting her, and trying to support her wholeheartedly, and knowing in my heart that I couldn't.
Yeah, that's full. That must have been full on, because you sort of saying, "I'm going to put myself on hold still while I support my daughter."
Yes.
And then when you decided to do your thing, did everyone say, "Copycat, why are you doing it?" Like, you know what I mean?
Well, it's been difficult because my oldest daughter is still very unhappy with me, and so there are some challenges that I'm still dealing with.
I was going to ask you, is that because of an alliance to the mother?
I think she's she's 19, and she's angry that I was living a lie, basically. So we're working through that, and it will be a long process. And so the challenges for men coming out, I've seen some, and I've heard some terrible stories from some of the men where the women have taken the children away, and they haven't seen the children for years.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the big problems, isn't it? Like there's no law or no. Like I was in shock when I spoke to Blake about domestic violence, and about like there's no support for men at all.
No.
Wow.
And I find a lot of as I said, I didn't know where to turn. I was with a psychologist. He's been fantastic, and I'm still with the same psychologist. He was amazing, and he cried when I told him, because he was trying to dig deeper. And I remember thinking, I'm never telling you this. There is no way this is ever coming out. Not realizing that was the main underlying issue. And it's stuff that I'm still unpacking. I think, and I think he's like a good mate now. Every session we sort of go in, and Sometimes I feel like we should have a beer because, we're just going in and having a good chat. But
yeah, well, that's good therapy because
yeah,
it's not, you don't want this experience of your life to be clinical,
no,
you know.
no,
So with the group, what obstacles have you found? We talked offline a little bit about time and all
yeah.
that. Have there been any other obstacles that you feel you're experiencing? Because I don't think people realize it's hard work, isn't it, running a group?
Yeah, look, I think some of the hardest parts have been some of the dads have had some severe mental issues, and so it always warms my heart when someone reaches out and says, "I'm struggling." Um, a lot of these dads private message me, which I encourage. I don't, you know, Dean knows that sometimes I'll be on a call or a text in the middle of the night with someone from the UK or someone from America. And if someone says, "Have you got time to chat?" I would never say no, and I can't say no because I know that feeling of hopelessness. And I was unfortunately in a situation where I was in quite a dark place when I was coming out, or just before I came out. And I know that hopelessness, and especially through COVID. I mean, we started the group in October, and I had one man who was so sad, and he couldn't actually. He was actually stuck in the house with his partner during COVID, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying this, but he was struggling so hard mentally,
Mm.
and he got to some dark places. And so, as I say to people, I'm not a psychologist, but I'm there to listen, and I'm there to empathize, understand, and we just work through things, just talking. And I didn't have that. I would have loved to have had someone to chat to in the middle of the night. When
Yeah,
I came out, I turned to the dating apps and found out very quickly that wasn't the place. I mean, I
no.
did, Dean and I met on a dating app, so
I guess that's the beauty of, I guess, the evolution of social media. Like there is that support, and it's I do think. Do you think that there is a correlation between my introduction, like gay marriage, did open up this
yeah,
sort of doorway, right,
yeah.
to sort of that sort of new trust, right?
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of fathers that have seen especially, with Australia and um, just the introduction and the acceptance of gay marriage. And I think a lot of fathers are looking like, uh, I know what was tearing me apart was what if this goes wrong? What if my children don't support me? What if, I never talk to my wife again? The thing that I think I've learnt the most is I just had to be true to myself and not afraid.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's beautiful because that's, again, for me personally, that's the whole foundation of SMB. It's about self acceptance,
yeah,
because otherwise you're just going to be scared, and men have been scared, for a long time. And you were, it really sort of, it doesn't break my heart in a bad way, but for you to be knowing that you are a different version of yourself and you're married and you couldn't say anything. I
mm,
can't even comprehend what that would feel like. Like I get angry if I can't do one thing in one day. Just you know what I mean. And you had to do it over and over again and create a persona. So
yeah.
what was it like when you, again? If it's up to you if you want to share or not. Like what was it like when you did like come out, and how did the people around you? You mentioned your daughter, but did people at work? How did that all
Um,
navigate for yourself?
so I had a couple of friends at work I told, and they were amazingly supportive. A lot of my work colleagues still don't know. They'll ask me how. It's funny because people ask you how your kids are. They don't ask you how your wife is.
Yeah.
So I actually haven't had anyone who doesn't know ask me about my wife. So a
Do
lot of people
do you
say,
reckon
"How
they
are the kids?"
know?
Sorry,
Do you reckon that
no,
they
I
know?
don't think they
Or
do.
okay, because what I was going to say is that maybe we get to an age where the wife and sex and all that doesn't become as important
Oh
because
yeah,
everything
possibly.
everyone has their lives. I don't know. Like, so what about like
Yeah.
functions and all that? Did they not expect her to
Uh,
come?
no, well, since I came out, COVID hit, and I haven't been to any functions. So
Okay.
it's interesting. Yeah, I've thought about the first function I go to because yeah, we're not married anymore.
Yeah.
So
Are you close with your wife?
Ex-wife? We are going through some difficult times at the moment. So we are texting, and that's about it at the moment. And we're working through a new sense of normal.
Yeah. Because
So
it
it
is
is
like
difficult.
from a relationship perspective, right? It doesn't matter if you're gay, straight, or whatever. A healthy relationship is a hate. So me, the partner, and then that line that creates the connection. So I think it's hard for people to acknowledge that we should always wish the best for the people that we love, but instead we still have this old school mentality that we feel punished by what they do. Again, that's the whole thing with self-acceptance. I think, as the world grows, it's about time that we start all taking responsibility for what's going on rather than playing victims. I'm not saying that your ex-wife is doing that, but I think it's easier to do that rather than look at yourself.
Yes, and I think we were already having some difficulties in our marriage, but because I came out as gay, now everything that went wrong with our marriage is because I came out as gay, and that's really sad because it was a two-way street, and
it is what it is, isn't it?
Sorry?
It's like, I believe in the philosophy that it is what it is, because it is what it is. Like, it's no different to saying, oh, should we be sad that your daughter is? You know what I mean? It just is what it is. So offline, we were talking about society and the way that they view you and the gay dads, fathers. So do you want to explain a little bit more about, like, have you had any impact in regards to other groups, other people, other communities, how they treat you, like in regards to, them finding out?
Well, I think when I came out, I wasn't expecting a huge division of friends and family. That sort of shocked me at the start. But then the family and the friends that have hung in have been amazing, absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Just
was any of it because they didn't agree with what you were doing?
Yes, a lot of them did. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of them did. Yeah.
So I guess you didn't realize, did you, that they probably had homophobia?
Yes, a lot of them are homophobic, and it was interesting to see that split. And I must admit, I sort of shut down as well. I sort of just went into a sort of a self-protection mode, and then realised that I couldn't hide forever. And I remember going to the schoolyard for the first time to pick up my daughters. And I thought, oh my God, I'm back at school again. I'm back at that schoolyard as a school kid because I was being ostracized by other parents. And I was like, and these people that had always talked to me, and then all of a sudden I've been ostracized. And so I thought, I just held my head up high and I thought, you know what, I'm still a dad. I haven't changed as a person. Actually, I've become a better person.
Yeah.
It was tough, but I knew that I was doing the right thing, and I knew, and I was there for my kids. I wasn't there for the other parents. I wasn't there.
It's all about them anyway. But I just realized as well, like you're really like 18 in gay life, aren't you?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because I've got another friend who's a gay father, and like he talks to me, and I go, "Oh my God, calm down." He goes, "Stop it! I'm 18 in gay life." So, are you finding, it's surprising, isn't it, that these people that you think are educated, they're homophobic, and who cares? But like, are you finding that you're discovering a whole new world, and you do feel young and
I do. Like I look in the mirror sometimes and I go, oh God, you look old. But the mind is back to a 16 to 17-year-old. It's like, I love where I am now. I love what and Dean and I love this man to bits. And he and I have so much in common. It was so incredible meeting someone that I had so much in common with. And people say, oh, you met during COVID. That was very quick. But we had this intense relationship during COVID because we were intimate partners and we couldn't see anyone else. So we had this sort of speed dating.
Yeah. So your relationship's fairly new then?
We met in May last year.
Yeah, well, that's new. So, you're talking gay talk. I love it. It's only May last year. It's not even 12 months ago.
And we moved in December. And we moved in together in December because both our leases were up, and we decided, you know what, let's move into a bigger home.
Yeah, and it's like, it's exciting that you're living the life What would you tell that man that was about to walk down the aisle now?
Um, I would probably
Would you still tell him to do it?
no, no.
Mm.
Look, I I'm going to sound really selfish here, but I love my kids. I love having children, and my wife was my best friend, and we had an awesome 20 odd years of marriage. Last couple were a bit tough, but we were best friends. And you
Mm.
know what? I I probably wouldn't change that because we had a great time.
Yeah.
And that was really heartbreaking when I told her, and the anger and the hate that I'm experiencing and slowly working through. I wasn't ready for that,
Yeah.
but but I guess, if I can say anything, to any of the newly out fathers, it's just be yourself. Don't be afraid,
Yeah.
because
And I guess it cycles as well, isn't it? You
it's what,
don't just
sorry?
cut. Well, I think a lot of people come out. I mean, when you're talking about your psychologist, like I was the psychologist for a client that was you, and
Yeah,
it's true. Like we're good friends now,
yeah,
and we have this relationship. Like, and so, but I think he thought it was going to be like, bang, I'm out. Okay, everything's done.
yeah, yeah,
It takes time and all that. So,
yeah.
um, in regards to the society thing again, like, do you think that those people at the playground, your ex-wife, your daughter, do you have hope that everything will settle?
I know it will settle. I know it will settle. And the good thing about the group, and the thing I love about the group, is there's fathers that have been out for many, many years, and they're now living a normal life. Some of them are married to their partners. Some of them are still single, but they've got grandchildren, and they're loving life. Um, and their wife. A lot of their wives are their friends now, and they go to events and occasions, and their kids are getting married, and so
I love
it
that.
all becomes the norm. And I
Yeah.
hope one day it becomes a norm for me. It's hard. It really is hard, but
Yeah. But you got
um,
to keep reminding yourself that you are, and that it's really fresh. It's like,
yes, yes.
so it's exciting. Like, Um, what do you think the myths are that people say? Like, what are those people at the playground saying? There must be these myths that, oh my god, there's the gay dad having the orgies or something. Like,
Well,
what?
I think that's what they think, but I also
Really?
wonder if I had have gone off and had an affair with a woman, whether I would have been ostracized as
Oh
much.
no, you would have been like the men would have tapped you on the back, and it would be. It's like
Yeah,
it is internalized homophobia that we think. That's the interesting thing is that you witnessed probably in a really good school, a good area. You'd think these
yeah,
people are educated, but it shows you that homophobia is still visible, and it's under our
yeah.
noses.
Yes, oh, definitely under our noses, and we see it all the time, and the group talks about it a lot. We had one dad today that's hasn't told his work, and he asked whether he should tell his work, um, for fear of retribution or being ostracised. And a lot of people, and it was interesting. It was both sides of the coin. Some of the fathers said, it's none of their business. If it comes out, it comes out, and others were like, does it
Yeah.
matter? Tell
Well, I think
them.
it's up to the individual because
Yes,
also
yeah,
that changes. I remember, I didn't want to do that when I was younger, and now I don't care. It
yes.
changes. So, are there any other myths or misconceptions that you've experienced with some of the members?
Um,
Like, probably one of the myths would be, I would believe, like, I'm curious to know, like, I always imagine that there'd be drama with the children, but it doesn't necessarily be that way, is it?
no, look, I think my children, the main worry of my children was when I came out that I was
Right.
leaving and going away. And I've reinforced again and again, I'm not going anywhere.
Mm.
We've rented a bigger house with their own bedrooms. we and I spend as much time as I can with them, and try to show them that I'm still the same dad. You know, um, so yeah, there's lots of myths that you're going off into the gay world and you're going to disappear, and I think some wives and ex-wives have really ostracized the fathers from their
Yeah.
children. And I think that's Sadly, that happens.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, which is really sad because
Well, it's a shock for the wife, and so they use the children as a emotional buffer.
yes,
And what happens is that they are totally in shock,
yes.
right? And
Yeah.
again, I know this is a personal question, but don't you think that there'd be a little tiny bit of them knowing, or not really?
Um,
You know,
it's
like
funny because I had some. I don't think my wife did, and I had some gay friends who just about fell off their chair when I came out. They thought I was joking. Um,
they
but
didn't know
I,
that you were.
yeah, they didn't
Oh,
know I was. So,
right.
and I
Okay.
think they're still in shock. They still,
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Wow.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
but other men have talked about their wives knowing, or that they knew that they were bisexual when they got married, and they thought they could work through it.
Yeah.
So there's lots of that sort of on the site as well.
Yeah. Well, again, you just think that young people open, they're
Mm.
accepting gay marriage got in, but yet there's
Mm.
still, younger generations that are still fearful and so on. So, how do you feel about being on this podcast? Like, because you said earlier that some people at work don't know. Is this sort of like a big step for you to sort of go, you know what, I'm evolving. I'm not going to hide anymore.
Yeah, look, I don't mind at all. I
Yeah.
don't mind, and
So
I
I'll
think
plaster it in New York, right? I'll put it on the billboard.
that's fine. If you're in New York, I'm happy.
Oh yeah, I'm global.
I know you are.
No, I think it's
Uh,
really, really exciting that you're doing that, and you're just doing it and you own it. I think that's beautiful.
I think you have to own it, and a lot of the fathers. It's really nice to see some of the other fathers really owning it as well. And as I said, some of the fathers that have came out years ago who are just living a normal life now. That's been put in the past, and they're just moving on.
Mm,
Um, and it does sort of it does. I do look at them and think, wow, some of these guys have just come out and they're going through so much stress.
mm,
And I mean, December 2019 is not that long ago, but I'm a different person.
yeah.
I feel lighter, I feel better, I feel happier.
Mm,
Um, my mental health is so much better.
mm.
Um, I just I
You
can't.
sort of answered my last question because I was going to say, what advice would you give someone that is experiencing that whole shift of the split of the worlds and having to navigate the gay father side of it with then also being, it's really a double thing. You're dealing with their own sexuality, then the children. It's a
Yeah,
lot of stuff, isn't it? Like
yeah. I think you need to get yourself some psychological support and a good friends. Like my friends were amazing, absolutely.
mm,
Some of my close friends who are still, my best friends today, they were amazing, and they were there when it all came crashing down.
yeah,
Um, but I was proud of myself in that I actually made the step, and you've just got to make the step and be true to yourself.
yeah,
I know there are a lot of fathers in our group who aren't out, and they may never come out, and that's okay. But they need to live with it, and it's a daily struggle. It's a daily struggle to live with it,
yeah.
and all I
Well, I
say,
think any line's a struggle, isn't it?
yes, yeah, and then Dean and I were talking about that the other night because I said to him, there's not a single thing he that I feel I have to hide from him after living a lie for so long. And then, one lie compounds to another lie, and then, it just
I know.
becomes the norm.
Mm,
Um, I said, I don't actually have anything that I hide anymore. And I think that's the joy of the group because I will often, I don't, I don't have to chime in very often actually because there's so many men now that chime in and help each other. But when I chime in, I'm just
yeah,
dreadfully honest, and I just
yeah.
say it as it is. And um, what have you got to hide? I tell people,
Mm.
if
Well, what you're advocating is vulnerability, and that's again what men have
I
not
love
really.
vulnerability. I
Yeah,
love vulnerability, and I like to show people that the love and the empathy, and to show people that you can hurt. It's okay to hurt. It's okay to cry. It's okay um, to be sad. They're normal emotions. Go and take cry if you're sad. Don't hold it in. That old, that old
Yeah,
adage of,
I
you
love
can't
that.
cry
See,
anymore.
you're sounding like a daddy even more now. One last question, because it really intrigues me before we started, is that you were saying, why do you think that there was a bit of a negative force when it came to the gay community? Like, why do you think, rather than being supportive, because I've noticed that in other sectors as well,
Yeah.
like, why do you think that is from your experience?
I think as human beings, I'm not going to say normal human beings, but as human beings, I think we all like to think that we can have children. And I think there is some negativity towards us
Yeah.
about having children.
So you
And
think
I
it's about the
understand that.
children? See, I think it's more about the fact that you're not fitting the norm of what they want. Like, it's all about, some people have trouble with accepting all the different parts of the
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
Right. So you're a part of the community. They want, some people, were these people like party people, or were they a particular type of people?
No, look, it's been all different
Right.
types of people, but it's mainly people without children.
Mm.
And they were very angry that I had, or that we as a group had married our partners, and how is our partner feeling, and do you know you
It's like you're getting it all, and they see that. Oh
yes,
my
yeah,
God, you
and you've
get the
got
marriage, you
children.
got this, you got children, you got the cake.
Yeah, you've got children. But what they don't see, and what happened to me, is I walked out of my family home where there was 6 of us,
Mm.
4 daughters, my wife and I. And I walked out of the family home, and I was very comfortable, and had the mortgage paid off, and everything was fantastic. And I walked out with nothing. I basically I started again.
Yeah.
Um, but
Wow.
I started again because I wanted to create a safe space for my children,
Mm.
and to show them that I had to be true to myself, and I had to build up a new life for myself. And so I walked out with nothing, and had to basically start my life again.
See, that's
Uh,
why this podcast is important, because you inspire people who, sometimes people, and, listeners, don't get angry with me, but sometimes people get upset over the most littlest thing. And then, these stories of inspiration show,
mm,
show you that, we will all get through it if we just allow ourselves to go through that.
yeah, yeah.
I knew we'd talk for an hour. See? You're saying, "Oh my God, I had to talk for an hour." It's almost an hour.
Oh, really? Who's
Yeah.
going to watch an hour of me?
Well, we've done it. My podcasts go exactly 30 minutes. Yours is an hour. Um,
Oh.
Sean, I'm going to let you go. Thank you
All
so
right.
much. I'm sure we'll
Thanks,
have
man.
you on again as the group expands. And I'd love to have probably both of you on,
That'd be great. We'd
to
love that.
talk about, maybe the 3-year itch or something. I don't know, like
Yeah,
what,
we'd love that.
because it's
We'd love
exciting
that.
that it's all fresh and new, because it must be so good to have that vibrancy, at this age where you
Yes,
feel 20.
yes.
It's great.
Yeah, I love it.
I feel exhausted because I've done it. I've done it. All right, mate. Have a great weekend. I know you've got a special group event, so have a good time, and we'll
Thanks.
catch up with you
Yeah.
soon.
Great. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. Well, you've been listening to the Secret Men's Business podcast. So this podcast will be out on a Monday or a Thursday. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, and you'll get notified of all the new podcasts. A lot of great podcast interviews coming out. I have been challenging myself to reach out to people globally, and guess what? They're all saying yes. So yeah, look forward to sharing those with you. Have a great week, guys, and speak to you soon. Bye.